On today's episode, we have a very special guest joining us all the way from South Korea over phone call. We have Ashley Choi, who is a radio DJ, podcast host, as well as a YouTuber. So thank you so much for joining us today, Ashley. I also have my co-host here, Ketsia, with me. So hello, Ashley. Hello, Ketsia.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm Ashley.
Thank you
So
for
good to
being
have
here.
you.
No, thank you for having me. I'm so happy.
Would you like to give a little bit of a background on like who you are and for listeners who may not be as familiar?
Yes. Hello. My name is Ashley Choi. I'm actually from New York. So I was very happy to hear that I would be on this show today. I used to be in a girl group called Ladies Code for 7 years. Our contract just ended this past March. So ever since then, I've been flying solo and I've been documenting my adulthood journey on YouTube and hosting my English radio on Arirang Radio and also doing a podcast with my friends on Dive Studios called Get Real.
Yeah, thank you so much once again for being here. We are very starstruck, to be honest, because we've been fans of yours for I'd say a good like 5 years.
Oh my gosh, thank
Actually,
you.
it's been a very long time. So I think I'll hand it over to Ketsia to start off with the questions. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, there's so much that we wanted to get to today. And first of all, you're such I feel like a diverse, multi-talented person. And I guess to start, we wanted to touch upon kind of the present a little bit. Is that okay, Rabba?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
And
okay. So,
so
That's
sorry.
fine.
We wanted to just talk about like your experience as a radio show host and
mhm.
like you're kind of this you're Korean American, but you're broadcasting in Korea, and you have experience working in the entertainment industry. So, like,
Mhm.
kind of what's that been like for you? How's the transition? And can you tell us a little bit about that?
The transition has been pretty smooth. I've been enjoying it a lot. I was very scared in the beginning because I'm so used to having everyone take care of me and take care of all my problems and anything that might come up. But uh, more than I expected, it's going really well. I think even though I was in the Korean entertainment industry for 7 years, I was always more, I guess, like culturally and just the way I think, I was always more like Korean American. So I was kind of looking forward to how things would be when I started doing everything independently and doing it as a solo. So I'm enjoying myself a lot.
That's awesome. Yeah, and we've been enjoying your kind of radio personality. I don't know if it's very much different from your podcast personality, but for the
Mhm.
listeners who don't know, Ashley is part of a podcast called Get Real on Dive Studios Podcasts. It's available on YouTube and anywhere you can listen to podcasts. But it's been a really cool space, I think, for fellow Korean Americans and international fans to kind of connect with
Mhm.
you guys and just hear your perspectives on pretty much everything, right? Like on adult life of being in the industry, friendship, relationships. Kind of what was the the start of that? Like, how did that begin, and like, how did you make a dream into reality?
So first, Dive Studios, Eric is a part of that too. So he first asked me if I would like to do a podcast, and I was like, yes, I'd be so down. And then he wanted to make it a little more different, and I guess a little more um, friendly, and for the younger generation to be able to relate to or learn from. And he knew that I had a lot of Korean American friends in the industry, so he thought it'd be nice if Matthew from Card and Peniel from B2B and I got together and just talk about the adulthood as well on that too, just the struggles of growing up, being independent, or being an adult in the industry that we're in right now, and kind of share our perspectives and our issues and struggles, because the K-pop fans or K-pop in general, you see a lot of um, just the things that are on stage, or um, just the positive sides of a lot of things, but there are some downs too, and we do face struggles here and there. So we thought it'd be nice to share that and talk about that, just like you know friends next door, like 언니 or opas or 형s or 누nas next door. And yeah, that's been very, very fun.
Yeah, I definitely get that vibe of like
Mhm.
kind of I'm listening to my 언니's and oppas like talking about life, and it's very refreshing for me, especially to hear from people who work in a relatively conservative industry, where you can't
Mhm.
really say do everything that you want to do. So yeah, I think that's been kind of a really awesome contribution to YouTube world, to the K-pop world, kind of. And I think Rebel will probably have some questions after that, right?
Yeah, and like one first another comment, like another thing that I really really enjoy about like all the things you've been up to, just like dive podcasts as well as your own YouTube channel, is that it's like in the K-pop world, a lot of people get started at such a young age that they really have no glimpse of adulthood until they're like completely free of their contract and everything, and that
Mhm.
takes a really long time. So right now, I feel like you're really enjoying like the most beautiful part of life, of like your
Mhm.
adulthood. And every time I see what you're up to and hear what you're talking about, it's like, yes, there are hardships, but you also have such wonderful loving friends and family, and I'm really happy to see that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Next, we actually wanted to ask you. We actually used to follow your dance channel before it got like taken down. I remember.
Weren't you
Um,
guys like sick?
I don't. I remember specifically we saw like a tiara cover. I think you did in a backyard or something.
Roly poly, yes, with my
Mm.
friend Winnie in her
Yeah.
backyard.
I thought we always thought you're like such an amazing dancer, and we were
Oh
kind of
my
wondering
god.
how you've been with like dancing, singing, and what your plans are for that. If you have any ideas of like any plans to continue that.
Hmm. Well, I still love music so much, and I don't well, I haven't thought about quitting music entirely, but it's just that I think after 7 years of being in the industry, I felt a little burnt out. So
Yeah.
when it ended, I wanted to dive into other things that I didn't do before, like YouTube. I mean, I have made YouTube videos before, but I wasn't fully active on it because when I was a part of a company, I would have to get confirmation and I would have to make sure that there's nothing wrong, or there won't be anything problematic on that.
Hmm.
So I didn't upload very much, and when it ended, I wanted to focus on radio and start YouTube because I've always loved documenting things. I've always that's just the kind of person I am. Even with dance covers, I loved filming myself and putting it out there, and I wanted to do that with YouTube too. So I'm not going to say that like I'm done with music. I do want to eventually put out songs one day. It's just right now my focus is on radio and podcasts and YouTube. And I think there will come a time when I'm like, okay, I want to do music. Like right now is the timing. But I'm not setting any like deadlines for myself, or I'm not setting any specific plans, whereas to like, I'm going to start music in 2021 or anything like that.
Hmm. Yeah, honestly, that sounds great. It's just if you put so much pressure on yourself to like do something by a certain time, it's like you're burning yourself out, and it's almost like you're not really allowing for much flexibility. So I think it's really great that you still have that love for music, but you're taking your time as well. Yeah, I'll pass it over to Ketsia once again.
Yeah, I really makes me think about how life kind of comes in cycles a little bit. Because Reba and I both grew up playing music very intensely. She played violin, and I played piano, and now yeah, we did that for what, like I'm still playing, so I've been playing for 13 years now. And Reba, you quit like classical lessons a while ago, but she's still playing, for like 11 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
And
so.
yeah, and that was such an intense period of our lives too. And so after I, left that for a while, I still like kind of had that desire to do it, but I'm realizing like, oh, I can kind of relax a little bit, and kind of watching you as well, how you went through such an intense period of like idol life, idol training and performing, and then suddenly to come out as a kind of like transformed, I don't know, like, I guess on a transformed stage, we're seeing you in a different setting. We're seeing a different set of charms and persona, you know. Um, it made me feel kind of like, this is life. This is what's supposed to happen. It just happens, it goes, and it's very refreshing. And on that note of, I guess, like that idol life, we did kind of want to ask you about how those experiences have affected you to this day. So again, like you were part of Ladies Code for 7 years, and you were training for a little bit before that as well. How does the pressure and experiences that you went through as an idol kind of affect you today? Do you feel like you still feel that pressure or those expectations?
Um, when I was a part of Ladies Code, um, I never felt the pressure to succeed. Well, I never put the pressure on myself. Yes, there was pressure from other idols and I guess from the company to be able to like blow up and be successful and like be like a number one girl group, but it never stressed me out too much. I wanted to have more fun with it. There were times when things were really hard and I wanted to give up, but at the end of the day, I just thought, when else would I be able to do something like this? And 7 years would fly by quickly. Of course, we never expected things that happened to happen, and things didn't go the way we thought or planned, but um, I don't know. I didn't really let the pressure get to me too much, I feel like, looking back now. So, yeah, I don't really know what to say about that.
Well, that's great. I'm relieved for one to hear that. I think it says a lot about your personality too, that you're able to be, I guess, like you, and just to kind of do you and realize that that's not the end of the line. Reba and I
Mhm.
often laugh actually, and we joke about Neil because I think it was that episode where Jung came on too, and
Uh-huh.
he was like, "Oh yeah, if something happens and there's a scandal, I'll just leave the public industry, like
Yeah,
be the
yeah.
face of
Oh
entertainment."
my God. He like his mindset and personality, like I respect him so much. He's the most laid back, nonchalant guy ever. Like I respect him so much.
We were wondering what you think, if there is something that you think people often misunderstand about you, and if there's
Mhm.
anything you've always wanted to tell people to refute that you've never really had the opportunity to say.
Hmm. I don't know. I don't really what do people say about me that I want to refute?
It kind of makes me think of like what is the word, like you're reading your assumptions about me. Have you seen
Mhm.
that like trend on YouTube for a while where people would
Oh
just read
yeah.
out
I
like, do you
haven't done that yet. I'm curious now. Maybe I
Mm,
should do one.
yeah. Oh, yeah. That would be fun.
do?
I'm like low-key scared because that's kind of like cyberbullying. Like people will
Mm,
take that and just like write mean things, but I don't
mm,
know. I haven't there's nothing that sticks out to me in particular that I remember that I'm like, okay, that's not true about me. But
Or something you just wanted to share. If you want to like think about it and maybe come back to it, that's okay too.
yeah.
yeah.
We actually were curious also about your MBTI. We were trying to guess like before
Uh-huh.
the meeting. We were like, oh, I wonder, like, is she like I was like, she has I in there. Do you know the 16 personalities that we're
Yes,
talking
I know mine.
about? Oh, okay. So
Oh.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was something with an I and an F and a P, or like
Mhm.
ISP.
Mhm.
Is that, I don't know what the second one is.
You thought I was an I?
Yeah.
What? Aren't I outgoing? Don't I seem outgoing from my YouTube videos? Like,
You're very outgoing, but you have the feeling a little bit of like Reba. Reba's an introvert, so
uh-huh.
I kind of was like, oh, I can kind of see like the outgoingness, but like someone who's outgoing but also needs to be like a homebody and like kind of rest.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I.
Actually, like the E to I ratio, it doesn't differ that much. Like I've
Yeah,
always been
right.
an E, but like my E is like 56 and then the rest is like I. So I'm
Mhm.
not like extremely introverted, but I'm not like yeah, I'm not like extroverted, but not too introverted.
Mm.
Yeah, I think we thought you may have been more of like an extroverted introvert, that
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But I thought for the past 3 years that I was an ESFJ because that's what I got the last time I took the test. But most recently, about like 2 months ago, I decided to retake it with my friend who's also an ESFJ, and I got ENFP.
Ah, that's
That's
Ketsia's.
me.
The
Really?
same
Yeah,
ENFP.
it's the
Oh
same.
my gosh.
We would be best buddies because anyone who's also ENFP, I just they're like my best friends are all ENFPs, and we just have so much fun together. It's like ENFP is magic. ENFP,
It
ENFP is magic.
is, yeah.
ENFP, INFP, Reba's an
Oh,
INFJ, and we're like
uh-huh.
Very compatible, like
very,
Oh
very
very,
wow.
very so. Yeah.
Yeah, because all my friends are ESFJ too. And
real.
then, yeah, and then I just changed to an ENFP.
We fled the fort.
I,
Oh.
I think the change came after I became independent.
Mm,
Oh,
that's so
Yeah.
interesting. Wow.
interesting. Did you feel like you were any, I mean, did you feel like you were any different? Like, did you feel like, oh, that's accurate now? Or were you like, I wonder why? Did you answer the questions differently, more honestly?
I think I answered it a little differently for the changing from ESFJ J to P
Mm.
because I think before more I was kind of the type to be very uptight and just like if things don't go a certain way I get really mad or I get really like antsy and I get annoyed, but then now I'm just like, "Oh, go with the flow, like if something happens I don't care." I think I've become more spontaneous after it ended because I've learned to enjoy life a little more and I've enjoyed to be a little more laid back. So yeah, maybe that's like one of the things. Yeah.
Can you attest to that, Reba? As a
Yeah.
fellow,
As
as
a
a fellow,
fellow.
actually, no, now I'm now the exact same, but you're INFJ, so you're J and I'm P. I feel like that works really well together. I don't know.
ENFP.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
because
like I'm wondering now since like knowing that, like that must be partially why I'm so attracted to like your channel and hearing your like what you have to say because
Thank
I don't
you.
follow like a ton of YouTubers.
Uh-huh.
But yours is like your channel is one of those that I consistently watch. Like every time there's a
Is it
video.
like genuinely fun? Is it really
Yeah.
entertaining?
Yes, it is, you
Really?
know.
I'm just curious.
It's like there's such a beauty to it as well. It's like it's one of those things where I think you
really,
definitely look back on in the future and be like, yes, that was my youth and it's going to be a
Oh,
really beautiful memory. And you're documenting it
mm,
really well, I think, just so genuine, I think. Because a lot of times YouTubers can feel like they have to kind of act a different way for their videos, but it really feels like you're kind of just taking us through your day and we get to see all that stuff. It feels a little stalkerish on our part, but
oh no.
definitely really I've been enjoying it a lot and it takes me to a different place, especially during the pandemic. Yeah.
Thank you. That means a lot to me.
it is a lot of fun, and the get real as well. I don't know. I can't say enough about it. It's so much fun just to listen to it. It's so refreshing. Truly. Um,
Yay.
I guess transitioning back because we did have some questions from people about like your idol life or like being in the industry. So sorry, in a moment. How do you feel like the current generation of idols, I guess, differs from your generation? Because as you know, there's so many groups coming out now all the time. So many people want to be idols, and you did mention in the beginning how people kind of see the glamorous sort of side
Mhm.
of things, and it can be very deceptive. So I guess I asked two separate questions, like things maybe you want to kind of talk about, warn about that maybe aren't as they appear, and then also a little bit about that, but also like how does this current generation differ from when you were training, when you were performing?
I feel like the system has gotten more intense because there are so many people who are good at singing and dancing now, like even more than our generation. I don't know if it's the advancement of technology, and I don't know if it's the watching of YouTube at a young age that they like, they watch so many different artists and try to follow them. Like they're so good and they're so young. And I feel like it's more competitive now because there are so many good people. I feel like with like after you actually debut, I feel like it'll be, I don't know, it's hard to say because I'm not in their shoes and I don't know exactly what they do, but I feel like for the fans, it's great because they have more content from their idols that they follow. Because when we just started out, most of our stuff or content was either through interviews or TV shows. There weren't that many like YouTube channels or things online that we could do. We definitely didn't have TikTok, and everyone's doing viral TikTok challenges and videos now. So I feel like it's better for the fans because they have more content to enjoy from their artists. So I feel like as a fan, it'd be fun to stan a current generation idol. But besides that, I don't know.
Yeah, I actually also wanted to ask about if you've noticed like a switch in the genre of K-pop, and if
Mhm.
there's a specific type of sound you like or artist sound you tend to gravitate towards, one maybe you'd like to try out in the future, and just about like musical genre and style.
Within idols.
Yeah, within idols, because they've explored so many different types of things, like
Hmm.
taking influences from like Latin music or hip hop, and then just
Hmm.
like the more traditional K-pop style or like retro, that kind of vibe.
Mm.
City pop.
Well, city pop too, yeah.
City.
Um, these days, I mean, I feel like a lot of the songs have more hip hop bass to them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like if you listen to artists like Blackpink, they're very hip hop based, and I feel like a lot of the other boy idol groups like Stray Kids are definitely hip hop based too. I've always wanted to do like a girl crush concept, so I love watching Blackpink stuff and Yoda Idol stuff. I
Mm.
think they are all like really good performers. But I don't know, as I get older, I can't really imagine myself like dancing and doing like hip hop, and that's like another like standard that we have on ourselves that we shouldn't. But if I were to ever come back with the music, I feel like I would do R&B because I also love R&B a lot. So it wouldn't be like hard on like full on choreography like hip hop, but I think more of like the chill, laid back R&B sound.
Who's your favorite R&B artist?
I have so many.
It's like a
I
top
love Say.
say.
Yeah, there's an artist named Say. She
Yeah.
has a beautiful voice. I love PB. She's super popular these days. I really like Sogum. She's a part of AOMG, and we recently had her as a guest on Get Real. And I've been a fan of her music, but I became just a fan of her as a person because her philosophy on life and just the way she thinks and her mindset about music and life in general. I was like, this girl's younger than me, but I have so much respect for her. She was just spitting out facts, and I was like, mind blown the entire time. So I'm definitely a huge fangirl of her now. Yeah.
Yeah, I it's funny that you mentioned Solon because I was listening to the Solon song. It just popped up on my Spotify randomly.
Uh-huh.
And I stopped everything that I was doing. I was like, what is this? And it was
Right?
yeah, it was like Sogum and I think it was Jay Park and Punch Nello.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if
Her
you know.
voice is so unique, and
Mm.
she doesn't care about like the rhythm and anything. She's just has that soul in her, so it comes very naturally, I feel like.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only recently discovered her as well. Actually, that's really funny.
You
I think
too?
I actually looked up a bunch of the artists kind of affiliated with J Park after watching the PH1 Dive Studios podcast, like the
Uh-huh,
one you did
uh-huh.
with him.
Yeah.
I mean, the series, like you did several with him, and I listened to all of
Hmm.
them. So I was very interested in seeing like what other artists there are. So I know what you're talking about. It is very free and just soulful, like you said.
Yeah, definitely.
Hmm. We wanted to ask you as well, what, so transitioning a little bit into a different topic amidst
Mhm.
this pandemic, what do you think brings you relaxation and joy during this time?
My LP player.
Yeah, every single
LP
YouTube
player.
video.
Yeah, I started collecting vinyls after I started living alone because it was always a dream of mine to have an LP player.
Mm.
And now that I've collected around like 20-ish, I just like to listen to them, have a cup of coffee, and yeah.
It's funny because we have so many vinyls. I can't even count how many vinyls we have, but I don't know if we have the LP player. We have like a
Who's
record.
we? Like your family?
Yeah, your
Yeah,
family.
Oh.
I'm just like we have so many, and my mom will hold on to them because they're all like precious from when we were growing up, and
Yeah.
like a lot of opera and classical music, but like we
Oh,
never listen to them. But the sound is different when you hear
it
it.
is. It hits different.
It's like so rich and it's just warm. It's like a honey milky sound. It's different.
Yeah, you should get an LP player.
Now I have to. Now I think I know what I need to ask for
And
Christmas.
Yeah.
yes, now that Ashley told you, you have to get one.
I must get a
Yes,
book there,
yes,
and then I
please.
will report it back. Oh, I got the LP. What's your favorite thing to listen to on the LP? Like, do you generally listen to a lot of R&B and like?
I listen to everything. I have some jazz, I have R&B, I have some hip hop. It really depends on my mood.
Wow, I think it's so interesting that they have vinyls for like hip hop and R&B. Like, whenever I think vinyl, I imagine like maybe jazz or classical. But I know like
Hmm.
even some K-pop artists like doesn't Blackpink have a vinyl?
Yes, yes, they released one for their last full-length album. I think it's because everyone's nostalgic and that
Mhm,
era is coming back. So
Mhm.
a lot of the artists are releasing LP versions of their albums too.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
The era is really. I feel like we are kind of going backwards in time a little bit.
Hmm.
Actually, as someone who, so you're a '90s baby, and you also are now I don't know, witnessing, I think, kind of the return of like that age a little bit. Like, what is that
Yeah.
been like for you? Because I mean, for one thing, I don't know if this counts, but I've been seeing a lot of people roller skating on
Hmm.
like on Instagram. And I was
Yeah.
telling my dad about it, and he was shocked. He was like, "Roller skating is back." I thought that was so funny.
I love it because I love and embrace everything from 90s and early 2000s. I just feel like the music, fashion, everything was the greatest in like late 90s, early 2000s. So I love seeing all the trends come back. Even now, like I always listen to throwback songs. Like that will be always be my favorite era for music. So I'm all for it.
Do you think people are nostalgic for like any particular reason? Like sometimes I wonder if it's a little bit because of this digital age and everything. So like wow, technology, it's very shiny, fast, fat, and like I wonder if that has made us want to like take it back or if it's just a trend. Like how long will it last? What do you think?
I feel like there's a little like aspect of longing for simpler times.
Mm,
Um, I feel like that has to, it can't just be like fashion and trend, right? There
mm,
must be like a longing for, back then, like your childhood when everything was so much simpler because life is crazy right now. Like things are crazy. And even for kids, like teenagers growing up right now, I feel like there must be so much more pressure on them in every aspect, whether it's in terms of like appearance or like um, academics, because we didn't really have social media growing up. Well, it wasn't that big. we weren't comparing ourselves every single day to other people. But I feel like now it's just everywhere. And yeah, I feel my heart goes out to them because I feel like there would be so much pressure and stress.
Yeah, I mean, Reba, what do you have to say about that as a youth?
I mean, like
Right there.
definitely, yeah, as a youth, definitely, I feel exactly what you're talking about. It's just constantly kind of social media will shove it into your face, and I've had to tailor personally my own like Instagram explore page to show less of those things like that of like I guess those accounts of girls who are just posting photos of themselves looking like beautiful, perfect. And it's because it can be very toxic and make you think, especially if you're someone who has a lot of insecurities, just kind of think, uh, doubt yourself a lot, I suppose, and
Mhm.
think about what you're lacking. And so I think that's for me why I like to also find the someone I can admire that's has that like mindset as well, like the
Mhm.
unni figure. So that's hence like probably why I follow you so closely as well. It's like a lot of more of a positive influence on my mentality as well.
Oh, thank
For
you.
sure. And I think also like because you're so close to home, really. Like we spent a lot of time growing up in Queens in Flushing, both of us, and it's like when Ladies Con came out, we were like, oh, Ashley, she's from New York. She grew up in Queens. She's like right here,
Yeah.
and it was kind of crazy. And now you're in Korea doing like these amazing things. So it really does feel like an older sister figure kind of. Um, it's really fun to watch. On that note, like New York, like when was the last time you were here? And like, can you tell us about some of the things you miss about New York or growing up in New York?
I was last there in January of this year. So right before the corona pandemic hit New York, that's when it was bad in Korea. And my mom was like, stop, don't go back, like stay here. But then I had to go back because of radio. And then it ended up getting really bad in New York. That was the last time I was there. And honestly, I miss the small things. I miss going to the deli, getting a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich or an everything bagel toasted with cream cheese and jelly.
Mm.
I miss the lure stations. I don't miss the huge rats. Like that's one thing that I hate so much. Like I hate rodents. I'd rather
Mhm.
see cockroaches.
Really?
But it's just New York feels and smells different, and I get more confident when I'm in New York
Mm.
because there's just like such an eclectic um, group of people, I guess, like just everywhere walking down the street. You get inspired by their fashion or just their style, the way they carry themselves, the way they talk. And I love New York. I will always love New York. And I just miss the streets. I miss taking the Q28, going to Flushing, and I miss
The small things, yeah.
yeah, I miss my friends and just yeah.
Do you have any like plans or thoughts of coming back to live here in the future?
Um, I don't know. Everything's just like up in the air right now. I thought that as when my contract ended, I would move to New York and, start a family there, but life always doesn't go the way you expect it to. And I thought that I would never want to live in Korea, but I actually can't see myself living in Korea now. And yeah, it's just I just go with the flow. If I want to move back, then I'll move back. If I want to stay here, I'll stay here.
Yeah, I remember that episode of Get Real when you were talking about wanting to move to Jeju-do, like Ihyori.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
goals.
Again,
Yeah, that sounds great. I've actually never been to Jeju-do, but wait, Katsuya, you went, right?
I didn't. I went to Busan. I
Oh,
really like
Busan. Oh, I
Busan.
see.
I thought
You guys
Busan.
have to come to Jeju-do.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
will. I will definitely, I think, look into visiting. And I mean, based on, I think I saw on your Instagram story you were on vacation somewhere recently. It looked like,
Yes,
yeah, do you want
I was in
to talk about?
Sokcho, which is in the very eastern part
Oh,
of the Korean peninsula.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, Sokcho. They have the Seoraksan there, which is like the third highest mountain in Korea, and they have
oh,
really good crabs there.
Ah,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
it was
Yes, they do
awesome.
have
It looked
good crab.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I went at the perfect timing with the foliage and everything. So
I
Mm-hmm.
love the fall foliage.
yeah. But you
Normally,
guys have to go to Jeju-do next time you come to Korea.
this
Mm-hmm.
that's on my bucket list now. Korea 2021, 22. I don't know.
Hopefully.
Yeah, it's this thing. This will die out. This will finish.
I will.
It's my strong hope.
Mm-hmm. I also wanted to ask, do you think that most of your friends in Korea are within the entertainment industry?
Yeah, they are because I met most of them after I debuted. So I think it's inevitable that I make a lot of friends in the same industry or doing something similar. These
Mm-hmm.
days, I've been making a lot of YouTuber friends too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's just easier because we can relate to each other more and we
Yeah.
have a lot of things in common. So it's just easier to talk to them.
Yeah, and in particular, I think you were talking about kind of Korean Americans gravitating towards each other as well.
Yeah, definitely. Because a lot of them are here on their own too without a family. So I think there's just like a special bond that connects us even more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also have a couple of questions from people for you, if
Hmm.
that's okay, or like questions,
Hmm.
comments. I believe you kind of touched upon them already, but to give maybe a brief summary
Hmm.
for there's a question from June. He asked, "What's it like being a Korean American in the industry?"
Um, well, there's a lot of pros because you can speak two languages. So there's a lot of more opportunities because if I didn't speak English, I don't think I would be hosting a radio show in Korean. And I think there's a lot of Korean people look up to people that speak English, I guess. So
Mhm.
people always compliment you and people be like, oh my gosh, you're so good at English. Um, so those are the pros, but there are definitely difficulties because the culture is very different. If you're used to life in the States, it will be hard to adjust at first because of all the like the hierarchy and what is it called? Politeness, like that you have to,
Yeah.
yeah,
I also
that.
see that as being one of the biggest things that like overseas Koreans have to get used to.
Yeah, I got in so much trouble when I first came to Korea.
Oh no. Do you have any like
Yeah.
specific memories of things that were just kind of mind-boggling to you at first, but you had to eventually adjust to in terms of the respect culture?
Just the fact that you have to say yes to everything, like no talking back.
Hmm.
You can't be vocal about your opinions. You just have to say nah, and then kind of go along with it. These days, I think it's getting better though. But yeah, I got in a lot of trouble because they would say something to me. I'll be like, why? Like, why do I have to do that? But I was genuinely curious. I was like, why?
Yeah.
Like, me? Like, I'm not doing that. Like, but yeah.
It's like I'm an American. These are my rights.
Yeah.
I don't have to do that. But now
Such
I'm
a
just
deeply
like,
rooted thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
You have other
And
questions?
yeah, you go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, okay. No, I was just gonna ask if you had some questions. I know we're kind of nearing up on time, and again,
Mhm.
thank you so much for your time. This is really generous.
No,
Yeah.
no, I'm so happy I could be on it.
Yeah, and it's real. It really is exciting. I guess going back to like when I was just a fan of yours in like high school, I actually was part of a K-pop dance club at
What
school.
high school did you go to?
I went to the Guardia High School.
Oh, for piano?
I actually went for voice, but I
Okay.
did. I was like
Oh,
Wow.
that's so cute.
I auditioned for both and then I was debating like which one do I go for, and then
Uh-huh.
because if you go for a non-orchestral instrument, and any LaGuardians here listening will know it's so dumb, you go for like piano or guitar, you have to learn an orchestral instrument. So I would have to learn like oboe or violin or something to play in the orchestra, and I was like, I'm
Uh-huh.
not doing that. So I was like, I'm gonna go as a voice major because I've always enjoyed singing. So I sang in choir
Wow.
every day, and I sang in voice class. So I did a lot of singing back then. But also I joined this Korean like K-pop dance club back when it was like
Mhm.
pretty low key. The club was small. We would perform in the cafeteria. We had a very small crowd. But I think it was like my second year of doing it. I was with two of my 선배s and we were like, oh, what should we do? And then I was like, we should do ladies code. You know, they just came back. I love them. They're great. We have to do ladies code. And I let them pick the parts first because, you know, I wanted to, you know, give them that. It's their last year. And I was like, oh yeah, you guys pick. But then
Generous.
I was like, Ashley's part, like please. So and I part. And so I was very excited. I remember
Which song?
it was The Rain.
Oh wow.
I really liked that one. I liked Galaxy. I liked everything you guys did at that time
Oh, thank you.
I have
Yeah,
to
it
say
was so
though,
sophisticated.
part
Yes, isn't
what
this part so hard?
yeah, wait, so is it okay, I need to know, is it
The
this?
fans call it the blender dance. So you basically have to put the wrists together, make sure they don't fall, and then wait, how do I do this? I'm like forgetting now too. But you just like turn it. You basically make an 8 or an infinity sign.
Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense now.
So you guys
Yeah.
don't actually twist?
No.
Oh my gosh, I was wrong. I was like, guys, no, it's this. And then she was like, my friend was like, no, it's this. And I was like, oh, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah, you
so
don't
so
actually
complicated.
twist it. Just like making an 8 with your hands. It looks weird now, but
I used to do it fast.
Wow.
that's okay. I mean, they can't tell. It goes by so quick. It's like
Yeah. I think at some point I thought you guys were just literally just going back and forth. Like I was like, that's
oh, we had to practice a lot actually in the beginning.
yeah, it's confusing.
Hard.
I really liked that. It was very elegant, sophisticated. You guys all look beautiful and just very like chic and mature. That was a very
Yeah, I love that too.
that was
Thank
my high
you.
school memory, yeah. And I'm covering your part, a highlight of my high school dance career.
Wow. I'm honored.
Yeah, I'd like to prop in just one more, like maybe question from someone who is asking. This is from Grace, actually. What is your greatest motivation nowadays? And also, she said, I've been enjoying your Get Real podcast and YouTube uploads. Keep it up. 언니 사랑해요. 평생 응원할게요. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Grace. 나도 사랑해요. My greatest motivation these days. I've been picturing myself like reunited with my family a lot these days. Because I want my parents to move back to Korea. They haven't been in Korea for 20 years and I know my dad still wants to live in Korea. It's just like realistically if he were to move back, he doesn't know what he would do in terms of work, but I know that he does want to come back. When my grandpa passed away, he couldn't even make it to the funeral, and that was really heartbreaking for me to see. And my grandma, she's not getting any younger either, so I would want him to be in Korea so he could spend, you know, the remaining years with her. So like thinking about that drives me, and when I'm feeling unmotivated and when I'm feeling down or tired, I'm like, I gotta work hard. And that gets me kind of moving again. At the end, I think it's family because they've given me so much till now. So I just want to be able to give back.
Beautiful. I think I can relate to that as well. I've been thinking a lot about how much my family has given me, and it's like that struggle of like being, I guess, a Kyoto child in
Yeah.
America. Your parents can't really return to Korea. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they want to go back. Like it's a similar situation for my parents. They haven't been back. My mother hasn't been back to Korea in like 20, 30 years.
Oh my gosh.
Over 20 years. But yeah, thank you for sharing that with us and for sharing so much of yourself. And it, I think it was really just refreshing for young listeners to hear your experiences and your stories as someone who's really, I think, just making your own path. And it's very inspiring as a Korean American to see.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I'd also like to say like your resilience is really inspiring, and as someone who also wants to pursue music, and I do think about like perhaps pursuing it in Korea, not necessarily like a K-pop star or anything, but I see you and I think like I feel like it's like okay to do things differently, like just kind of let life play out the way it wants to sometimes, and just yeah, this is such a surreal experience. We are really genuinely huge fans, and used to obsessively watch like ladies go dance practice videos, and it's like really into everything. Just so honored to speak with you today.
Thank you so much. Actually, these things motivate me too because I'm just doing what I think I should be doing, but then like messages like this and like hearing that, I motivate you, it like it stirs up like some kind of fire inside me, and I'm like, I want to do this, like, so thank you so much. And I know you guys are younger than me, but I felt like I was talking to my unnies, and like you guys are so like
What?
well spoken, and I feel like you guys are very mature, and I have a lot to learn from you guys, so thank you.
Wow,
Thank
I
you.
never thought I would hear those words from Ashley
What an
Choi.
honor!
Yeah.
You.
No, no.
Wow, my
And she wasn't paid to
goodness.
say this for everyone listening on the radio or on YouTube. She
She
was.
wasn't paid. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think for that we'd probably we'd like to wrap up the radio interview portion here. And so
Mhm.
if there is a final greeting or insa you'd like to say, any like
Mhm.
last kind of note to our listeners?
Um, I don't know what the age group is for the people that are listening, but if you guys are feeling anxious right now, you guys feel like you're not good enough, um, that's not true. And I just want to say, like, stop rushing. I think these days our society tells us to like stay busy all the time, and I think that's so overrated. Like, you need self care, you need to take care of yourself, and you need to put yourself first and look out for yourself. And yeah, so don't be in a rush. Life is life isn't that, what am I saying? Like, uh, life isn't going anywhere. So remember to enjoy yourself in everything you do and all the process. And um, yeah, thank you for having me here today. And I can't wait to go back to New York. And I just want to tell everyone to stay safe and stay hopeful.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been so great talking to you, like even better than expected. And I hope I hope our listeners enjoyed getting to know you on a deeper level as well.
Yeah, I hope so too.
I look forward to hearing people's feedback on this interview as well.